wanted to do this video, and it had it in the back of my head, and every single time I put down to do it, something ended up getting in my way. I couldn't do it, and I was just like really frustrated because I was like, I want to do it and I don't have the opportunity to do it. Just a lot of things, right? So I'm finally here sitting down ready to do this video, and we're gonna get into it, right? Let's talk about hair removal. It is one of the oddest things to talk about when you are female and male, because, well, mostly female, because I feel like males really, unless, but we don't really talk about hair removal, and I feel like it's because it's seen as such a closed off subject. Nobody talks about really, things. There are certain videos out there, and I appreciate the girlies who do it on YouTube, where it's like, do this to like do this and da, da, da. And I'm very happy that they're putting it out there, because these are the type of videos that we need to be representing for this community, right? So my video today, I am going to be talking about every single type of hair removal that I know of. If there's one I miss, just let me know in the comment section, and I will do some research, and I will probably come back. Don't hold me to that. But there are different types of hair removals. You've got shaving, you've got waxing, you've got lasering. And no matter what you do, it's going to be broken down as one of those three categories, right? You're either shaving, you're waxing, or you're lasering. And for me, one category takes the cake. And it's because I haven't experienced one category, which just, No, there is like a very specific subsection in all of these where one of those particular removal methods, they kind of intertwine, right? And because of that, I'm going to go from most common to least common / least expensive to most expensive. Shaving, right? Now, shaving is quite literally the one thing people do. Like, no matter where you are, what you do, your age, anything, people shave. We shave our arms, we shave our legs, we shave everything else. And it's so common, but not common at the same time, because it's not really spoken about. There's certain people who can't shave, certain people who hate shaving, certain people who have misconceptions about shaving. There's just so much of it. And it's hilarious because for what is seen as such a multi-billion-dollar aspect in the cosmetic industry, it is so ridiculous. Just so many myths that are still about. One of them being, when you shave, your hair grows faster, and that is 100% not true. I can promise you it's not true. The reality of it is your hair grows in a strand, which means on the end you have your hair end, which is very, very thin. In the center of that, you have your hair shaft, and at the end you have your bulb, which is where the root is. Now, when you shave, you are cutting the hair mid-shaft to end. And so when your hair is growing back, it grows from that mid-shaft upwards. It's not that your hair is growing thicker. It's not that it's being, anything. There's nothing negative about shaving in the aspect of it growing back your hair. Shaving does not make your hair grow back faster. It does not make your hair grow back thicker. It is really just cutting the hair off that is exposed over the skin barrier at a blunt angle. It's just all that. So your hair is going to continue to grow because you haven't taken it out at the bulb, aka the root. And therefore, your hair is just going to continue to grow because to it, there's still hair there. The bulb is still producing hair. So the follicle is still just going to be moving out your skin. Yeah, so one thing that I feel like we need to also talk about is the different types of shaving, right? So you've got your regular razors, which I do not like razors. I'm sorry. If I'm going to be honest, I do not like razors. I don't like shaving in general. I feel like shaving is the worst thing because I feel like it just irritates me because it's just, like I said, it's cutting it off mid-shaft, and I am not, I don't like the feeling of like a day after hair growth. I'm not a fan. So for me, shaving is not it. No, there are different types of shaving, and there is one of them that I would try. It's just that it's very painful. You have your razor shaving, you have your electrical. So you got manual and electrical, and electricals are usually the ones that you either use a battery with or you plug in. And then you have your epilators. Your epilators are the ones I would try. No, they are shaving, however it's not shaving in the more regularized way. Is that even a word? Is regularized a word, guys? I don't know. I really don't know. But it is like not one of the more common versions of shaving. It's kind of one that, even now, I've recently got into researching it because I wanted to try it for myself, and it's so hard to find not just people who've used it and tried it, but just overall understanding of how it works. Like, in the abstract, once you know what an epilator is, you're probably gonna have an understanding of how it works, and it is kind of like threading. If you've had your eyebrows threaded, you know it's gripping and it's pulling your hair from the bulb all the way out. However, it is painful. You feel every single hair that has been pulled out, and that happens with epilating. And epilating is meant to go over your entire body, so from head to toe, and it's gripping everything. You feel it all. So it is one of the more painful forms of shaving. And I understand that's probably why it's not common. I have heard some YouTubers say that it is easier over time. However, I would like to preface it by saying, if you've never tried threading, I would start by doing that. And if you can handle that level of pain, you'd probably be able to move on to epilating. I've tried threading. To me, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I still hate it, but it's something that I would be okay doing if it were going to save me money. Epilators normally range from around £100. So they are pretty expensive, while regular razors, electrical, tend to range from about like £50, like between 20 and I think like 70 to 100. Like, they can get pretty expensive. And your manual razors are pretty cheap. They're usually from like 99p to £3 to £5, depending on the type of razor you're buying. You know, the more expensive and the more features it has, the more it can do, the more expensive it's gonna be. Now, the segue kind of between shaving and waxing would be chemical hair removal, and that is your Nair/Feet. Those are the only two brands that I know of 100% that are chemical hair removal companies. I don't know any other one, and if there is another one, I would love to know. Can you let me know in the comments, please, if there's another one out there? I do know that so far Nair and Feet are the only ones that have been steadily readily available to everyone. And you've probably seen it, you've probably tried it if you are brave enough. And it works by killing the hair shaft, and you are able to then wipe it away. Now, it's very interesting that over the years, it has gotten to be such an industry within itself that you've got so many different types of removals for every single aspect of your body, right? So you've got one for your eyebrows, your face. You've got one for your underarms. You've got one for your legs. You've got ones that are for sensitive skin. You've got ones that are for lightening. You've got ones that are just all over, right? And so, I mean, that is pretty impressive considering the fact that it is what most people tend to prefer, because it's easier. It kind of helps. It's a segue between shaving and waxing, like I said, so it lasts a little bit longer than shaving. It's probably not as long as it definitely isn't as long as waxing, because it's not completely killing the hair from the bulb, like I said, but it is killing the majority of the hair shaft. So it doesn't go all the way down to the bulb, but it does prevent your hair from immediately growing back the day after. It does have that help because it's killed that shaft aspect of it. And it does kind of seep into parts of the shaft, and therefore it kills parts of the shaft. So it takes a little bit longer for it to grow. I said shaft so many times in that one statement. But when that happens, you tend to feel a bit more of a relief, and I think that's why people tend to gravitate towards it a little bit more, because you know that it's gonna last a little bit longer and you're not wasting your time shaving, and it's not as irritating as shaving. It can be irritating considering it is a chemical hair removal process, and therefore you are more so worried about the ingredients and how that mixture will affect your skin. Some people do have sensitive skin, which is why they now have sensitive versions of these creams, but it is still a possibility, right? I must say that price range wise, it's around 10 to 20 pounds, if I'm being honest. It's not too bad. However, they are meant to last you for quite a while, and they are meant to work over time. The only problem I have with chemical hair removal is the time period. I do not like the fact that I have to be standing here with my arm up for 10 minutes at a time, right? And then you can't go over 10 minutes because then you'll get a chemical burn. And you're so worried about not getting it on certain parts of your body. And then it's just a whole process, and it stresses me out. And I do not like when my hair removal process is a stress. I hate I hate the process in itself. I want to make it as easy as possible, right? So I hate chemical exfoliating. I do it sometimes. Like if I know that I have a specific event, I'll normally do it 2 days in advance. One, because the smell takes so long to go away. And I feel like sometimes no matter how much you bathe, you can just smell it, you know. So if I have an event, say tonight, I would not do this. I would have done it yesterday, because at least then I would have showered enough to kind of get rid of that smell. It's very strong. No matter what you do, you're gonna smell it as soon as you're done. And so I'd rather not be walking around smelling like I've just shaved, right? But to each their own on that one. Next you got waxing. Waxing, I feel like, is pretty common. I think, no, if not for everywhere, people tend to be waxing a little bit more their faces. So you tend to get eyebrows waxed, your mustache waxed, your hairline, not your hairline, your, what are these things called? I have forgotten. The word is going to be there on the screen, don't worry. Ignore presentation Janelle. Anything Janelle is there for you, okay? We are not the same. She slept. She has like probably a bear drinking. But yeah, I can't remember the word for this, but you can you can wax your entire face, right? And so for me, I feel like waxing is my go-to because it lasts really long. It lasts for at least 2 weeks. Depending on how fast your hair grows, it can last probably only a week. So it's really up to you to determine the pace at which you want to wax. Waxing gets rid of the hair from the bulb. So it's like pulling the hair out completely. And if you're waxing yourself and not going to a professional, it's best to start off with small areas that you are easily able to manipulate. Therefore, your legs or your arms, these areas. Do not try your armpits first. Don't try your area first. Don't try your face first. Try regions that are larger and easier to manipulate, because you want to develop that arm strength. You don't want to go in and then give yourself a whole burn, which you can by ripping off the skin surface. It does create some irritation. It can make it really uncomfortable for you to do much of anything afterwards. So it's best to be careful when doing waxing, right? You've got different types. You've got hard wax, you got soft wax, and you've got wax strips. Now, hard wax is essentially wax that gets hard once it's applied to the skin. It's amazing when you are a pro. When you know exactly what you're doing, and you want to just like get it done, it's amazing to have hard wax. Soft wax is for those who aren't really hard wax level. They're not ready to take that plunge, but they're sick and tired of wax strips because it gives them more control over the area they're working on. I personally love soft wax. Soft wax uses sheets. So you spread the wax over, you grab a sheet, and you use a sheet to rip it off. It's so much easier to manipulate than, for me, hard wax, because I've tried all three of them and I prefer soft wax. Next, you've got wax strips. Wax strips are prepackaged strips that come designed for certain aspects of your body. So you have your full body, your eyebrows, your underarms, your everything area, because they do have some that are just like multi-package of everything. And those are pre-waxed strips. So you pull them apart, you put it down, and you rip it off. And you just toss them in the bin once you're done. You also have, which is not necessarily waxing, but it is considered a similar technique to waxing, and that is sugaring. Sugaring, I think, is the most cost effective of all. One, because it's something you can make in your own home. Sugaring is genuinely sugar. It's a sugar mixture that is used along your entire body, normally done by a professional. And you go there, they get that one piece of sugar and they use it to get rid of hair on your entire body. It is very antibacterial because sugar is antibacterial. You normally add honey to it sometimes, which also makes it a little bit more antibacterial. And you use cornstarch to help to prevent it from sticking not only to your body, but to itself, right? So you have opportunities. I would 100% recommend going from wax strips to soft wax to hard wax and then to sugaring. Sugaring, I think, takes a lot of time because unlike a hard wax that you use a strip to manipulate, sugaring is you and your body. 100%. It's the amount of trust you have in yourself to get that hair off without having any damage. It's also a really good way to exfoliate if you're looking for that. And price wise, I want to say wax strips are the least cost effective because you, especially when you're starting out, you tend to go through them like nobody's business. You are genuinely, especially when you're just trying to figure out how much to use and where to use it and getting the most out of that strip, you do tend to waste quite a bit of it, not intentionally, but just in the learning process. And so I think originally it is the least cost effective. However, I feel like for the long term, when you're looking towards understanding it, it is really helpful because you end up realizing just how much you need specifically. And then when you move on, you already have that idea because of the strips themselves. So you can then manipulate the soft wax and hard wax however you want. And you're most likely to get a better use of, you're most likely to get better use out of it and more movability out of them because you've already gone through that. I want to say hard wax is going to be the most initially expensive, and that is because you need to buy yourself a heater. Very few places sell hard wax just like that. You have to go somewhere that sells the beads and the heater and all the things that come along with it. Finalele! Lasering is like the most expensive out of all of them. Like no matter what you do, lasering is gonna top the tier. You cannot not be lasering. And when it comes to most expensive, lasering is very much what it sounds like. It's somebody taking a laser to your body. And what lasering does is it burns away the hair follicle and prevents hair growth. And it's not a permanent solution. There is no such thing as permanent hair loss. The only way, unless you're balding in all the places, which is a health condition, and I think you need to get that checked out. But lasering does reduce the amount of hair that is grown in a certain area over time. You do tend to have to start off with a couple of sessions to work your way up to your hair and your body getting used to the process. And once you do, have to maintain it. So it's up to you, depending on how fast your hair decided to stop growing in that area, the level of maintenance that you need. You might only do it once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year. Who knows? It's up to you once you've developed your own schedule. There are also at-home lasering. At-home lasering can range anywhere from about 200 to 500 pounds just for the machine alone. And it's important to note that my complexion or darker will find a harder time using a at-home lasering machine than it would be for somebody who is of lighter complexion than I am. So if it is that you have a skin tone that's similar to mine or even darker, it would be unrecommended on my behalf to try buying a at-home laser. Speak to your dermatologist, esthetician, your technician to find out if they personally know any brand that has a machine that works at home that would be used on your skin tone. If they don't have one, do not buy an at-home treatment. That would only cause problems because it may burn your skin. It is a laser. It is highly powerful, and it is what it says it is. It is something that will use high heat to get rid of something, and it is better to not take that chance if you're not sure. than spend that much money and then face consequences that you did not expect, right? That is one problem I have as well with lasering, is that it's very unlikely that at-home treatments would work on my skin tone / darker. I would probably be able to find one, and there is one brand that I know of, but it is, again, pretty expensive. It is the most expensive one, and it's the Philips Braun one. And that is because it's created to adapt to skin tones. I personally have never seen them utilize it on a person as my skin tone or darker, and I would love to see them tell me whether or not it is something that would work for me or for somebody darker than me, just so we have an understanding of it. I'm trying to figure it out, but there's generally no evidence out there that proves, because not even their ads or anything like that, that it says that, yeah, it can be used on my skin tone or darker. So I'm holding out for that one. But your esthetician's machine, your technician's machine, it is powerful enough to work on my skin tone and possibly darker. I'm not sure how deep it'll go before the treatments become ineffective, but I do know that it will work on my skin tone. I also know that it's very powerful when it works on darker skin tones, because they have to turn the heat up to get it to work the way it's supposed to. And so you need to be very careful when you're going in for your treatments. You need to speak to them, have a very open discussion about your thoughts, your fears, everything, to ensure that you're both on the same page. Now, like I said, it is the most expensive. I think the cheapest one is £200, and that is from the Fourier brand, and is their peach. And that is not suitable for my skin tone at all, because I checked. I wanted to buy one. It was adorable. And the most expensive one would be the £500 Philips Braun one. I think it's for 6, and it comes with adaptable heads, and it adapts to your skin tone, and it has a whole case and everything. But it is pretty expensive. And I think that is all of them. Like I said, if I have not mentioned one, guys, let me know in the comments, because I really would like to know. Also, let me know what your experience has been with hair removal, because I've tried almost all of them. I've tried manual razors, electric razors, haven't tried epilators. I am looking towards it. If you do not have a good threshold for pain, I would not recommend it at all. I don't recommend putting that much money into something that you're never going to use. If you haven't tried nairing or beating, I want to know why. Are you scared of the possible chemical burn? Because that is a valid reason. If it is that you've waxed, have you waxed yourself? Did you go somewhere? What was the experience like for you? And also, if you have lasered, especially if you're of my complexion or darker and you have lasered, let me know, what was that experience like? Because I've always wanted to try it, and I keep telling myself every time that I'm going to book one to try it, and then I never do. And then right now, I'm not in a position where I would be able to do that, unfortunately. So I'm going to have to put that off until next year, God willing. And I'm hoping that next year I will get that opportunity, and I'm just going to look to see what happens. By then, I'll have full understanding. I'll probably have tried epilating, so you'll probably get that update on that too. Yeah. I think that's it, and I'm gonna go. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's been a while. I know I've basically rambled. The editing for this is gonna be shoddy, because I'm moving around some stuff. I'm trying to find what works best for me. So I hope you bear with me, guys. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Thank you. But I will see you all in the next one, guys. Bye.